My name's AJ Kalanick, Albert J, as some of them are referred to me. I am the executive director for Billings Studio Theater, and going on my 12th year for that. But I have been associated with BST since 1986, when I came through with the Vigilante Players on a touring show, and then moved here and became part of the troupe in '87. And so I've been around for a while. Been on the board of directors twice.
I'm Marguerite Dahl, and my first experience with Billings Studio Theater was at Pioneer Playhouse. We went to the play Rumpelstiltskin, and it was at a barn out toward Laurel. And since then, we've probably gone to almost every play that they've ever done.
Well, I'm Leonard Dahl, and I was on the board for 11 years. And I helped plant a lot of trees here and a lot of flowers. And at the time, we were in poor financial situation. And when we bought our first computer, I went to the bank and I said, if you want, I'll personally sign for it. And that was the first computer. But I've gone to all the plays and worked on the sets in the back and did an awful lot of yard work and volunteer work.
Hi, I'm Jim McCrae. My involvement with Billings Studio Theater started about 18 years ago. I wanted to perform because my son decided he was going to do theater, and that was fun in high school, so I'll try this. Not knowing that it was going to consume my life. I auditioned as practice for 12 Angry Men, got cast, worked with some of the best actors in Billings, and loved it. Since then, I have performed in 20-some shows. I've been backstage on another close to 10, I suppose. And then I moved myself up to directing. So now I've directed half a dozen shows. I've also at the theater been an usher, set designer, set builder, box office, house manager, you name it, I try to help out. Also manage the furniture savings down at the Performing Arts Center, where we have everything in storage for the last few years. What else have I done? Anything. I've been on the board for most of my years involved in the theater. So this is my family, my life, my friendships. And the reason I say my life, my wife, my kids are also involved here, so it makes it a true family affair.
Hi, my name is Bev Kuderna, and I've been a patron here for many years. I've been fortunate to have my daughter and 3 of my granddaughters also be in the plays, and so that even made me want to come more. My daughter also has directed here. Her name is Lisa Kuderna Day, and her first play, I believe, was in Rumors, and that was really fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Of course, I think she did a great job. And then I know my granddaughters, 2 of her granddaughters were in Les Mis, and that was Gracie Day and Sarah Day. And of course they did a great job.
Hi, I'm Susan Jurovich, and I'm a current board member at BST. And in the past, I have helped backstage and helped with set construction and takedown, and that's about it. Oh, and a patron, of course.
Hey, I'm Dan Jurovich. I am Susan's husband, and here at BST I've been a variety of things. I've been an actor, I have been a board member, I have been a patron, I have been a volunteer, I have been, what else have I been? Anything?
All around
Volunteer,
great guy.
and just a volunteer. I've taken sets down and sets up. And so, anyway, a lot of things.
Over 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Over 20 plus years.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Alexander. I've been involved with Billings Studio Theater since 1990 when I was fortunate to be cast in the role of Nancy in Oliver. And it became a love affair ever since then. I have done pretty much everything here. On stage mostly, but backstage, managing, costuming, ran the costume shop for 18 months, help with box office, help with mailings, clean. I'm a big cleaner. But I think my love is always on stage, even though I've done everything else.
Hi, I'm Brian Lippman. I'm the current board president with Billings Studio Theater. I've been involved with theater for about 17 years, serving multiple roles on the board of directors. I'm an active patron, so I love to come to the shows. And I've even been convinced a time or two to partake in running lights for shows. So I've been involved in several different aspects of the theater.
Hello, my name is Casey Visser, and I am an actor, director, patron, former board member, all the things here at Billings Studio Theater. My first show at BST was in 1994. I was right out of high school, and I auditioned for Much Ado About Nothing. Took about a 10-year break as Burdette and I had our kids. Came back in 2005. I was getting costumes for a play I was doing at Lewis and Clark, and the smell of the theater just brought me back, and I decided I wanted to audition again. And so I did, and got cast in Beauty and the Beast. And after that, I've been doing a show or two a year here every year. Got into directing, so that's a little bit about my BST history.
Hi, I'm Norma Peterson. I've been coming to shows at Billings Studio Theater since probably the mid to late 70s. So I'm a paying patron, and then for the last probably 10 plus years I've been involved with the opening night appetizers by helping plan and prepare them, and serving.
Hi, my name is Sarah Holm. I have been around BST for many years. My family and I used to come as patrons when I was younger and watch the shows. But most recently, for about the past 17 years, I have been a lot more active. I've been on stage as an actress. I have volunteered in many different ways. Most recently, I've started directing shows, and I'm also a new member this year on the board of directors.
My name is Dan Dooley, and this is my wife Victoria. We're pretty big fans of the Billings Studio Theater. We've been coming here, or I have, for 14 years. Ever since I met Vicki, she's always been a fan. And we haven't missed very many of these shows in 14 years, and they've all been excellent. Once in a while I get a chance to come down and help them with something in the scene, tearing down or building up, but that's about as far as my efforts have been with Billings Studio Theater.
My name is Victoria Dooley. I go by Vicky. I've been coming to the Billings Studio Theater for a lot of years. When my girls were small, I used to bring them, and we really enjoyed the Billings Studio Theater and everything that it stands for, and like the people, and we love coming, and we'll continue to come as long as we can.
Hi, I'm Lynette Ryder. I am a patron of the theaters. Went to my first play here when I was 7. I work backstage quite often as a stage manager or a stagehand or a costume helper. I am on stage on occasion, usually in a comedy, because that's where my forte lies. So how many years have I been involved with BST? Well, if you consider how long I've been coming to plays here, it's 45 years since I first started coming. My dad used to take the pictures of the productions, and I would come as a kid and watch the productions, which usually I would fall asleep through, and then stay afterwards to take the pictures. So I was involved with BST a lot when I was younger, and then even when I was a teenager and in my 20s. Then when I got re-involved with BST was when my daughter started doing the youth program here, and she did the summer camps, and then she did the kids shows, and then of course how that works when your kids are involved in things, you become involved in things, and before I knew it I was helping with props or doing costumes or what have you. Then suddenly I was working backstage, and then my friend Sarah insisted that I try out for a play, which was always on my bucket list, and I got in, and I guess the rest is history.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Humphrey, and I have a lot of different things that I do at BST. I used to actually work here in the box office. I started as a work study my sophomore year of college in the costume shop and just kind of worked my way up from there. After having my second kid, I live out in Warden, so I had to kind of stop driving into Billings every day. But anyway, so now I just help on the weekends, but I also do a lot of shows as well. I am in them, usually musicals, as a dancer in the background, but I've also costumed and have done choreography and kind of just wherever I end up. I just love doing theater.
Hi, my name's Nancy Wollenberg. I'm the Associate Director here at the theater. I also currently am Assistant Directing for Leading Ladies. I have costumed, pulled a few props, I have stage managed, and just helped in the box office selling tickets. And I started 32 years ago.
I'm Kayla Braun, and I've been around BST just as long as Nancy has. I've been on stage a few times. I have assistant directed this last year. I've costumed a few shows. I am currently the box office manager, so I enjoy that.
I'm Miranda Fowl. I am currently the costume shop manager, and I also help here and there and everywhere when they need me. I've costumed some shows, and I've been around for a good long while, but I've worked here for 3 years, and I enjoy the basement.
Hey, my name is Vint Lavender. I've been doing shows here at BST since 1985. The first show I did was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, directed by Eric Hendricks. It was the first time that that play was done here. It was quite a memorable experience. Okay, I started out here acting, but you soon get recruited for other things. I have directed shows. I have painted sets because, you know, I'm not good with the hammer, really. I scare people. I usually do sound for all the shows that I've directed. Whatever they need done, I try to do that.
Hi, I'm Elaine Kennard, and I have been around Billings Studio Theater for 36 years. My husband Dave had been doing many shows here years before that, and after doing 6 in a row, we got married, and I became part of the theater family too. First I started I'm a volunteer, and I started doing the usher program, getting all the people here to be ushers for each performance. And then one day I decided to go backstage during a play, and it was a whole new world for me. And then I started doing things backstage. Probably my famed claim is getting props and set pieces for different shows. I've worked on many shows, and I have never been on a stage, and I never will be, because that's not what I like to do. I like to be in the background. And so here I am, after 36 years, I'm here today doing a little volunteer work at the theater.
My name is Michael Croney, and I currently serve as treasurer of the board of directors of BST. And I've been involved with the theater now for about 15 years.
My name is Sharon Harris, and I became a member of the BST family in 1968 when my husband, the late Ed Harris, was singing the role of El Gallo in The Fantastics, which was the last show that was done at the old church in downtown Billings. Ed musically directed at least a dozen shows, and because of that, I was able to volunteer in the pit orchestras for Pirates of Penzance, which was done at the Rocky Bowl outdoors, and for Children of Eden. Both of those were fun adventures for me to do that. It was Rita Heiser who introduced me to working backstage, and she asked me to volunteer with her to gather and organize props for the productions. I think it was Mame and Man of La Mancha, which were done at the Alberta Bear Theatre. I also had the opportunity to volunteer as an usher here, and I remember ushering the very first performance in this theater, opening night for Man of La Mancha in 1971, I believe it was. And I volunteered to usher for many more performances, mainly because I loved the music and I wanted to see Ed on stage. And I continued ushering for many seasons thereafter. Ed and I also volunteered in the box office, which was fun for us. We answered the phone and we helped people get their tickets. And we did that until the computerization became a little more than we were wanting to study and handle. So through the years, I've had many volunteer opportunities that I have appreciated. I think Ed's passion for this theater, his love for BST, performing, being in the pit, directing a show, that passion became mine. And I remember talking with the late Fred Miller one time, telling him that I never realized when Ed and I married in 1967 that I was going to become a theater widow. But I loved that role because it meant it was supporting Ed in what he loved to do. And I became enamored with the theater as well because of that. In the years since Ed's passing, I'm so grateful that the family that I've had here at BST has continued to be with me. I still love seeing old friends and new faces on stage at all the productions. I've been a season ticket holder for 55 years, and now my role is audience member. And I sit in the audience and I enjoy seeing old faces that I recall from many years and new faces that are coming into the theater and making this truly the community theater that I love.
Some of my fondest memories of BST, obviously to begin with, is being on stage. Hal Hansen, when I was performed with Hal in Death of a Salesman, I learned a lot from Hal. I think that's where my real sense of family began, is working with people like Hal, Raleigh Bach, all of the old timers, Jerry Swanson, Colleen Swanson, Bev Clark. They were all mentors to me at one time or another at BST. And it became a stark realization after a while when I realized that those of us like Sean Batiste and I were quickly becoming those roles that those guys had played to us. We were not playing with others. So I have a very fond memory of the family of BST.
Well, my fondest memories of here is just the camaraderie, because I was on the board, I think it started in '85. And Nancy is still here. We hired Nancy. And the various people that we met here, and I just live a few blocks from here, and I took care of the lawn and planted flowers, but I always met with a lot of the people that were working here, and the camaraderie that I had with them and the love of the theater. And Rita Heiser was on the board and was a great actress, and my neighbor, and also the work that she did here. Do you have any memories? You want to tell them?
Well, it was fun doing costumes. I made costumes for Music Man and a couple other plays. It was always fun to see Rita Heiser when we came to the plays because she was always here.
Fond memories from Billings Studio Theater, there are a ton of them. I would say that the majority of them revolve around getting acquainted with the people. And what happens on stage is wonderful. What happens backstage is sometimes even better, especially in the non-comedy shows. It seems like backstage people need to release a little bit. I really enjoy, as a board member, we do a cast feed for the shows, and I really enjoy meeting all of the new cast members and getting new people involved in the theater. One of the favorite things that I did recently is last year I got to teach in the kids camp in the summer. I taught an acting course with kids from 8 to 14 or so, and I absolutely loved it. I'm doing it again. So many, many fond memories of this place.
I do have a great memory of Rita Heiser. She was adorable. She had so many parts in so many plays, and I don't think I missed a one of them. And another good friend of mine is AJ. I adored always seeing him when he came out to announce the shows. He made it funny and made us relax, so that was important to me.
Well, I think one of my fondest is when our daughter Chloe was in Ruthless, and it was the last scene of the show. And the last scene is the long absent dad comes in to the apartment, and the main character, Tina Denmark, who Chloe played, shoots the dad. It's a farce. You have to see the whole show to get it. But anyway, previously, several years ago, Dan had been in Forever Plaid, and part of their costume was a plaid jacket. And so on one of the shows, Dan played the dad who comes in and gets shot. And it was just so funny. I think for me it was funny because our daughter was, 11 at the time, and, fake shoots her dad. And he's in the plaid jacket. That was a great tie-in in memory from Forever Plaid, which was a great show. So I think for me it was just so fun to see both of them on stage, even briefly, and in kind of a funny way, and then bringing in Forever Plaid. And I'm glad you're not really dead, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, mine, I think, is growing up, even going to the theater early in life, it was the musicals that always intrigued me, and I just couldn't, I just always wanted to be in a musical. We watched musicals growing up, and so the first time I was in a musical, it was 1940s Radio Hour, and I auditioned, and I got a small part because I was new to the theater and I understood that, but I made the most of it, and just the big bands and the great old music and just the great cast and who I've made lifelong friends with, and it was just really a dream come true, and I just still fondly look back at that and just really, really appreciate that time. So.
That was a great show.
Yeah, it was a good show.
My fondest memories of Billings Studio Theater are really the people that I've met here that have become friends, are still friends. Of course, our beloved Rita Heiser, who's gone. I loved her insight, her wisdom, listening to her day in and day out. Susan Sommerfeld and I became friends in our first show, and been friends ever since. Steve Zedeker, Don and Pam Habe, the Wagners, just so many people that are still part of my life. And it's such a community. I look for that. My husband and I have talked about moving elsewhere, living elsewhere part of the year, and I miss the community. I would have to find it somewhere else. And that's not always easy to build because not everybody's as welcoming as they are here.
So lots of memories with my time at Billings Studio Theater. One of the things I think I enjoyed the most was running lights for the show Kitchen Witches, directed by Casey Visser. It was a great show, great cast, and just a lot of fun to do and be able to interact with the cast and pieces of that show. So that's probably one of my fondest memories.
So one of my fondest memories for Beauty and the Beast, my first show back, I had to audition early because I had some educational training to do. So Jerry Rowe auditioned me at Rocky, and I sang and everything was great, and I acted a little bit and everything was great, and then he tried to show me the dance and it was not great. He got super frustrated, he started yelling at me, "No, it's your right foot," and I of course would move my left foot. So I left the audition thinking, oh my gosh, there's not a chance, and you know where that I'm going to get a part. I got Beast. And then first rehearsal, I asked Jerry what happened. He goes, "Oh, don't worry, Beast can't dance either, so you're perfect."
I was asked to think about fond memories of Billings Studio Theater. This goes back a long, long ways because back in the late 70s and early 80s or thereabouts, we used to dress up to come to Billings Studio Theater. We wore our long dresses or our long skirts and came. It was a special event. And then fast forward to more recently, having the opportunity to get to know the people in the office and some of the actors and actresses has been fun. And getting to know the volunteers that I've worked with in preparing the appetizers has also been something special. And part of that was knowing Rita Heiser. She became a very, very dear friend through time.
Some of my fondest memories are the things that happen backstage during the show. And also the things that happen on stage that aren't necessarily supposed to. I've done quite a few shows over the years, and the shenanigans that happen both on and off stage are just some of the greatest memories that I will always hold dear.
One time I bought tickets for us to go, and it was the best little whorehouse in Texas. I should have known by the name of it that it was going to be risky, but here my little 9-year-old daughter's watching it, and I thought, oh boy. And then the first show I brought Dooley to was Buddy Holly, and he knew every song, and that was pretty cool.
So my fondest memory from BST is hard because I have so many great memories here with different people. A lot of laughs backstage of things that have gone wrong on stage are always great. I love watching my daughter on stage. She's in a production right now, and it just makes my heart happy to see her up there. One of my favorite memories being on stage is during the ladies' foursome. There were 4 of us gals, and we were going through a golf course, and so each scene was one of the holes of the golf course. And it was confusing because we talked about the same things over and over. The set never changed, so sometimes we would forget where we were in a spot, and we were way off at one point, and I remember I was supposed to be at the tee, and I was frantically thinking, how do I get this back on? How do I get us back on? How do I get us back on? And then Sarah said, oh, like she had it. She's like, this is where we should be. So she says what she thinks the line is, and being ever so helpful, I just said, nope. And then we all just sat there in silence. So that's one of my fondest memories on stage. I don't even remember if we ever got back on. We might have just left and came back later.
So one of my fond memories, there's just far too many and different types of fond memories, I guess. But one of my ones that I remember most is when we did Shrek the first time. I was finally not one of the young kids. I was an old lady, and I was 24, and I was one of the old ladies. But all the younger girls had Snapchat, and so I got Snapchat too. And we would sneaky take pictures of each other and draw on them and send them to each other. And it was just this sweet little game that we played in the dressing room. I was one of the cool kids with the teenagers because I felt ridiculous. At 24, I felt old, but it was nice to be one of the cool kids.
A couple memories that I have so many memories, but going to only give you two. One of them, years ago, my first year here, I was talked into having a cameo in Rumors. So I played Officer Putney. Yes. And this past season, we did Rumors again, and the young man, Hayden, who played Putney, I was able to give him an award that he was the best Putney ever. So that's a great memory for me. My other memories here, we recently lost Rita a year and a half ago, Rita Heiser. So I have so many memories of just Rita here and bouncing into the theater and saying, "What do you need?" and "How the heck are ya?" So I really miss Rita, but I have so many fond memories of her, and this place just resonates Rita.
My memories, I have so many memories, but I have a few. It was a long time ago. Miranda and I did summer camp, and it was so fun to be on stage with my sister. Because you'll never see her on stage unless she's walking across it. So that was fun for me. Another one this last season, we did a show, Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus, and I got to see my son on stage, and that was probably my proudest moment as a mom, to see him on stage doing something that I love and that he loves now.
My memories are when we were younger, hanging out in the box office, Nancy while she worked, bugging her, calling and Rita answering, watching shows, you know, just all the shows. That's it. I have a lot more, but those are probably my best. Just
bugging Nancy in the box office, calling her all the time on her special line. And we didn't have to talk to anybody else. Mom! We went in her office with a bunch of tape on our faces.
They did! Okay, that's a great memory. They would take Scotch tape and they would do their noses.
Like the Pee Wee Herman video. We did that. We thought we were Pee Wee Herman.
Bug her so
Bug
much.
her until she took us home.
So I believe the second show I did here was Man of La Mancha in the Rocky Bowl outside. It was very exciting. That was the first time I worked with a pre-recorded soundtrack. We recorded the whole thing and we sang to that. That was kind of exciting. That was the first show I did here with Pat Schindley, and the first show I did with Christy Hansen-Arnold. And so I worked with both of those wonderful performers many times again, both directing and mostly acting with them. They're my favorites, along with my good friend Kelly Martin, whom I met doing a show elsewhere, but we did many shows here, many musicals that are among my favorite memories. Sandra Baker has probably directed me in the most things here, but those are all fun. And Eric Hendricks directed probably the rest of the most of the plays I've done here. And I've worked with Jerry twice, Jerry Rowe. Another one of my great theatrical partnerships, one of my best friends in the world, is Jeff Boshi. We've done shows together for God knows how many years. I started working with him up at Eastern Montana College, so that's going to tell you how long ago that partnership started. And I've done a lot of two-person shows with Jeff, Greater Tuna, where we play all the citizens of Tuna, Texas. When I was John Adams, he was Benjamin Franklin. So we've just done many shows together, and he's just a really great friend.
Thinking of my fondest memory here at the theater, one of my dearest memories is being able to dress Rita Heiser when she was doing Driving Miss Daisy this last time. I was backstage and I helped her get from one costume to another and get her ready to go on stage, and she was just on every moment. And so that's my favorite, and I miss Rita a lot.
As a member of the board of directors, we have the opportunity to provide cast feeds to all of the cast and crew for each show. And I've been involved in those a lot the last few years, and it's really given me the opportunity to see backstage and what goes on during a production, as well as meet so many great people that have such a love for the theater. And that has just been a great memory for me and something that I've really enjoyed.
Some of my fondest memories that occur to me have to do with a couple of shows. I love playing in the pit orchestra for Children of Eden, and I had to gather together over 20 different kinds of instruments. Bird whistles, djembe drums, clave, all kinds of things that could make noises and sounds for that production. I had so much fun, and Ed was directing, and it was a large pit orchestra. We had so much fun. We even had to add performances even though it was in December. I think I also had a wonderful time being the dresser for Wally Kurth. When he came to town and did The Music Man, I was asked to perform that service for him, and I had such a great time being backstage in all those rehearsals, watching what was going on, helping Wally with many, many costume changes, and that's always remained with me as a very, very fond memory.
There are so many shows at BST that hold fond memories that I'm just, enjoy. I go all the way back to Brighton Beach Memoirs, where Jeff Boshi and Pam Havoc and Kathy McLean were all on stage. Wonderful production. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime was one of my all-time favorites. Of Mice and Men, which I was in with Sean Batiste, holds a near and dear spot in my heart. It was the second time I was able to do the show, and yet I found this to be a watermark show for myself, and was really proud of the production that BST put together. It was directed by Eric Hendricks. And then there are so many other shows that people have said you cannot possibly produce, and yet we have, and have done them well. And so I'm very proud of this facility, this organization, and this family of people, of diverse people, from lawyers and gas station attendants, grocery store clerks, school teachers, everybody from all walks of life who come together and create very memorable art. There's only one or two shows that I can think of that wouldn't belong on my all favorite list, because I'm very proud of the work that we put out.
And we did The Pirates of Penzance.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did that outside. And Wally Kurth was in there.
Yes, Wally Kurth.
Yeah, he did it on Broadway too.
Did some wonderful plays here.
Wally Kurth.
It was in Newtown.
We did Pillow Talk,
My favorite shows through the years, not all of them ones that I was part of. I probably remember 12 Angry Men as my first show, and because I worked with so many of the actors, the really good actors in Billings, and I learned so much in that show. Other shows that I remember, as it turned out, Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat was my first musical. I probably had no business being there, but I had, again, great support from my fellow actors. Shows that I wasn't in that I fondly remember 39 Steps, one of the AJ's mental creations, and my son was in it, which made it better, but it was just such a fun show to watch because of the strange jokes that came out of there. Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime was a fabulous show, and I thought that the Billings Studio Theater did an amazing job with that. One of the shows that I think was probably one of my favorites that I was in was Chemical Imbalance, where I got to play the Lady Throckmortonshire. Down in the costume shop, there is a full 1840s dress that fits a 6'4", 250-pound man. It's kind of frightening to think about, but I'll have to see if I can fit into it again one of these days. So many shows that I've loved over the years. The musicals, the big musicals, Mary Poppins. Again, I was on stage for that. I got to watch my daughter play Mary Poppins. I got to fly her in the air because I was on the aerial team that got her and Stephen Rubes up in the air. I know I'm forgetting some that I just absolutely love, but I don't think I would say that I saw a show here that I didn't enjoy in some fashion, just some more than others.
One of my favorite plays here was Something Rotten. That was hilarious. You just never knew what was going to happen, and that even made it a lot more fun. Of course, I'm going to say there's two plays that I really like because my daughter and the granddaughters were in it. That was Rumors and Les Mis.
What is my favorite show? That is a hard question to answer, but I would have to say The Drowsy Chaperone. I just thought it was fun and clever, and the music was silly, but just a joy. I really enjoyed that show. But then again, there's so many. I really liked Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Of course, I loved The Growing Stage. I love The Growing Stage, to see the kids putting their heart and soul out there on stage. I just can't say enough about Growing Stage. So pretty much any Growing Stage production is another favorite. But yeah, as far as main stage, Drowsy Chaperone's way up there.
This is hard. I mean, they've put out some real stellar productions here at BST, and I mean, I could go on and on and on. You know, personally, I mean, I think I'm fond of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat because that was really the first time I got a lead role in a musical, and while incredibly nervous, it was just a really fun show. I'd watched that. I'd watched Donny Osmond in it multiple times prior to that coming to the theater, so it was just a really fun role to get to do. And then The Producers was another funny show that really enjoyed being in. So, but I could go on and on of things that are popping into my head that were just shows that I just, whether I was sitting in the crowd or looking on from the wings, they are just great productions.
As far as watching plays, the one that they've done here that really sticks with me is the Laramie Project. Maybe it's the subject matter, maybe it was the way it was done, I don't know, but that has to be one of my favorites. And I'm actually looking forward to one coming up in December, All Is Calm. Again, one of my favorite pieces of theater. As far as things I've done, wow, I've done so many and had such a great time doing so many. But Les Mis is one that will stick with me, Les Miserables, simply because of the audience that came. Doing shows at the Alberta Bear years ago, that was amazing. Guys and Dolls, Music Man, those were probably the two best of all of them that I did down there. To be in that situation where you have that house full of people and you hear them, the murmur beforehand, it really is intoxicating. but there's also that wonderful wall that separates you, that you are not you on stage. And so, again, I would, for years I used to say I would play Mazeppa and Gypsy anytime. Had the costume for years. Have costume will travel. Gooch and Mame was fun. That was also at the Alberta Bear. As far as non-musicals are concerned, I loved Rumors. Dixie Swim Club, I had a great part in that. Working with Casey in this show now and then. Woman is just a fantastic role. And when I worked with him in Maggie's Getting Married.
One of my favorite shows that we've produced here at Billings Studio Theater was Les Mis. I think it was a great show. Probably one of the hardest, I think, that I've seen the theater do from a technical standpoint. Just all of the costuming, stage design, and all the different pieces that had to come together for that show on our very limited stage was amazing.
Some of my favorite shows, it's kind of ironic, are the ones that hardly anybody saw. I'm really proud of All My Sons with Sarah. Eric Hendricks played my dad. It was just a really heavy Arthur Miller World War II era drama. I just was really proud of that show. I think it's the least attended show here of the last 20 or 30 years. Diary of Anne Frank, Burl Skogard directed. I was really proud of that. I played Otto. So that was really cool. In terms of directing, I mean, I just love all my shows. I was really proud of Here on the Flight Path. That's my one we did last year. And Now and Then, the one we're doing right now, is shaping up as well. So just really blessed to work with really talented people on really good projects.
It's hard to say what my favorite show is. I've loved something about every single show that I've done. So I can't say that I have a favorite. But one of the roles that I had the most fun playing was Frau Blucher in Young Frankenstein. I just had so much fun with every aspect of that show and bringing her to life. Some of the shows that I've seen that I wasn't a part of that I've absolutely loved, Les Mis was one that I will never forget watching. It was so powerful. The cast and the crew did such an amazing job with it. And one of the other shows that sticks out in my mind is Jekyll and Hyde. And I just remember the energy from that show and not understanding how Steve Zetterger, who played Jekyll and Hyde, had the energy to go back and forth. And I mean, it was just so, it was an amazing show, and I loved every second of it.
The Buddy Holly story brought back a lot of memories for me, because I pretty much grew up down in Houston, Texas, actually a little town outside of Houston. And one of the guys that I used to go fishing with was in Buddy Holly's band. And I always liked Buddy Holly. I had a girlfriend years ago that liked Buddy Holly songs, so I learned to sing them all.
I like all the musicals, and one of my favorites was Patsy Cline. The gal that did it, she sang so beautiful and she looked so beautiful, and they've all been good. Every time we leave, we always say, now that's the best one we've been to, but they've all been great.
So my favorite show that I have been in was probably Hilda's Yard, because I got to be Hilda, a 50s housewife, and it was kind of my first lead, and it was a fun cast. We had a lot of fun, and I got to talk to a person the whole time who was not real, so that was fun. My favorite show that I've seen, probably in the last few years, there's so many, but I really loved Here on the Flight Path. And that was just one where I just found myself smiling and laughing and crying all through the whole show.
So some of my favorite shows, I kind of think Always Your First One, like All Shook Up. I got to do that with my dad. I was in college, and then it went over into the summer, so I was living in Hardin with him. So we had a lot of driving back and forth. Just the two of us got to spend a lot of time together. I think kind of a common theme on some of my favorite shows are doing them with my dad. But my first non-musical, where I was actually acting and had lines, normally I'm just in the background, and that was also with my dad, and I got to play his daughter. So I really loved, like looking back, that was Christmas Bells and doing that. Those are kind of my more fond memories of doing plays.
Okay, some of my favorite shows that I've seen. Well, the first show I remember seeing was the Keen and I at the Alberta Bear. So that was amazing. I think I was 6 and that was amazing for me. So that is probably one of my favorites. Blood Brothers, love that musical, love it so much. The Secret Garden, I love. Play-wise, I loved Rumors. I remember sitting in the front row during rehearsals when Nancy was on stage, and so I love Rumors, and then I was able to be in Rumors, which was an amazing experience. So Rumors has a special place in my heart. For me as an actress, probably The Curious Incident, The Dog of the Nighttime is one of my favorites, and just recently Now and Then will hold a special place in my heart. But again, so many shows, I can't even, it's hard to say your favorite shows when we've seen so many, but that's where I am.
I am the same way. I've seen so many shows that I'm honestly coming to a blank because they all. Pirates at Penzance probably is, that's the first show that I saw BST do at Rocky Bowl. So that's one of my favorites. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I saw that in New York, and it was when I was going to New York for a theater conference. This is one show that I have to see, and it holds a special place in my heart because of my grandson Jack. But that was a wonderful experience. I would have to say probably Rumors as well, just because I was in that show once and then I costumed it. There are so many shows.
Oh, I found another one I love.
Okay.
The Laramie Project. Loved it. It's not the most obviously the happiest, but that's what I love about theater. That it's not always to have happy endings or bright colors or big musical numbers. It can have
I have another one here on the flight path. That one was a good one. Okay, my favorite shows were Secret Garden. That's probably the first one I remember because I love that story. Joseph.
Oh, I forgot about Joseph. I was in Joseph twice.
The music, and I was in it when it went to the Alberta Bear. That was fun. I was little, but it was fun. And Curious. It was a great show. A good story. Important. Recent Shrek. My son was in Shrek the Musical Junior. And then Shrek the Musical, just because my son Jack loves when Shrek yells. So that's always fun.
Probably my most favorite show that I've been in was The Drowsy Chaperone, a musical which I ironically did not sing in because the man in the chair does not really sing. He's actually a separate character from everybody else in the show because it's taking place in his mind. So that was a really fun show to do with a very talented cast, and Sandra Baker was an excellent director for that. My favorite show that I directed was The Laramie Project, and that was actually the first show I directed here.
I have a lot of favorite shows here at the theater, mostly the musicals. I really have always enjoyed musicals a lot. I would say that Hairspray was a fun one, Jekyll and Hyde, Secret Garden, Rock of Ages, and many, many more.
As an audience member at BST, I've seen a lot of great shows. Some of them are more memorable than others, but I really enjoyed Young Frankenstein, Shrek, Mary Poppins, to name a few. But I am very excited about a show that we'll be doing in our next season. Probably the most excited I've been about a show. BST will be producing The Wedding Singer, the musical, and I can't wait to see it.
Oh, I have many favorite shows. Probably the one that I think of right away is Sweeney Todd. I remember Ed singing the music practicing in his studio in our home and going to him one time and saying, I have no idea what you're singing. This sounds very weird. It's very strange. I have no idea what you're involved with. Are you sure this is something you want to do? And he said to me, I think what you need to do is come to a rehearsal or two and listen to the music, follow the storyline, and it may open your eyes to what's going on with this particular show. And so I did that. And by the second rehearsal that I attended, I fell in love with the music. I enjoyed all of the actors in that particular production. I was amazed at the ending to that story, and it has become my favorite Stephen Sondheim through the years. I cherish the music, and I still listen to it all the time.
I love BST, one, because of its family atmosphere. There are people here that I have been in a show with or have been introduced to, who have been on the board, whatever, that I have become lifelong friends with. And long after my time with BST ends, well, I don't think it ever will end. When I leave this position as executive director, I think my association with the theater and with those people will continue on. And it is a sense of family. Yes, you have your blood relatives, and those are near and dear, and you would do anything in the world to protect and help them. And very close behind are our relatives in BST, which we would do anything to help and to secure and to nurture. And that's why I love BST, because it is a family.
Because I love I love acting. I love what it does for the community. It's a great project. I come to every play, and there are many people I see that I don't necessarily know, but they are here at every time. And then when I see people after I have seen them here, I might be at a Kiwanis meeting, or I may be just having coffee with somebody and say, did you see that play? Yeah, oh yes, and then we talk about it. And people love acting. You can remember Shakespeare in the 1600s came up with a play, and Queen Elizabeth really honored him for that. I like the theater, and I like coming here. I like the afterglow, and I have made a lot of friends that I see as I walk around the streets of Billings, or as I go to various things, Kiwanis Club, church, or such, and oftentimes we discuss the play and what's coming up and what has been done. And we enjoy that.
I enjoy the plays. We participate in One Book Billings, and we run by Bernie Rose. When we met here, he did a lot of stage work, preparing the stage for many productions, and we just enjoy theater and what they do for Billings.
I love BST. There's a stock answer that I see that says, well, this is family, and it is a true statement. I'm somewhat of an introvert, and I work on programming computers outside of my life, and now I work from home, so I don't even see people other than my family on a regular basis. The theater has become my friendships and my family. I love the art of acting. I love the art of directing. I've got a stack of books at home on all this stuff, and part of it I got into because my kids, like I said, my daughter has a performing arts degree, and so I learned from them and I can share with them, but it's mostly the camaraderie. I love rehearsal processes, even learning to dance when that is not my forte by any stretch. I finally get it usually. But it's the whole making art with a bunch of wonderful people. And this is such a great place to do it and to help put on this art and entertainment for the community. Sometimes, like I said, being an usher or a house manager is helpful to the theater, and I love to help out in that fashion. So yes, it's family, it's good for the community, and it's just a lot of fun.
I enjoy coming here because it's so family oriented, it's local. I know a lot of the folks that are actors in these plays, so that's been a wonderful treat. Another reason why it's so great to come here because it's so affordable. I mean, I always get season tickets with my friend Barb Ramlow, and we so enjoy it. Just to get together before we come.
Why do I love BST? Well, there's a lot of things, but I would have to say, really it's because as a family, we've gotten to do so many things here at the theater. You know, our son, who has no interest at all in being on stage, has still helped backstage at times for shows that his sister was in. We've come to shows as a family to watch them and be a part of them. We've made a lot of friends at the theater, and friends that maybe we only see every so often, and then friends we see, quote, all of the time. And both are precious. And I think just, you know, looking forward to a fun night at the theater. It's a great place to come and support our community and spend time together as a family. And it always was a great joy for me to see, of course, you know, our daughter on stage. It's hard to pick just one, but there's a life here that I think is really special, and I hope it continues to grow. I hope that, again, Growing Stage continues to thrive, because that's our next generation of actors and supporters. So I think there's a lot of great things about BST.
And I have a lot of, I've loved being a part of the community theater here, the great friends I've made. I mean, even if you aren't in a show with a certain individual, I mean, you kind of just get to know them and appreciate their work, and they know your work, and it's just a really great connection. The friends I've made have been incredible. But in the theater itself, coming and sitting in the audience and just getting lost in a play and go to a faraway place or a fantasy world and just kind of lose what's going on out there in the real world, and pure enjoyment that you don't have to think about anything other than what's going on the stage. So that's just a great thing.
A nice getaway.
Yeah.
I would say it's everything. The people, the staff, the actors, the community that's built here, the facility, it's just top notch all the way. And I think that's why the theater here, Billings Studio Theater, has lasted for 70 years, because we keep that quality going in our plays, in our people, in our facility, in everything we do.
I love BST. I think it's a great organization for the city of Billings. It provides great local entertainment. I think that we have so many talented people in Billings, Montana, and the surrounding areas. This gives them a great opportunity to demonstrate their talents on stage. We have opportunities for kids to develop their skills in kids shows that are catered just to kids. And I think it's a great value for the dollar when it comes to patrons and wanting to see quality entertainment. BST is just a wonderful organization for our community.
I love BST. I think a thread in my life is I love stories. I'm a history teacher, so I love telling kids stories. I love movies, I love plays, and BST really allows me to explore that passion of storytelling. And I'm sure everyone says this, it's the family atmosphere just the people. I mean, this is just a building, but the people really make it what it is. I've made some of my best friends in life here at the theater. The patrons is just a wonderful place to be a part of.
I was asked to talk about what I love about BST, or what I like about BST. There are actually many things. I like the fact that the theater is a small theater. There isn't a bad seat in the house as far as I know. Because it's a smaller theater, you are close enough to the actors and actresses that you can see their expressions, which I think helps in making the theater more intimate for you. I am constantly amazed at the talent that we have in Billings with the people that are involved, both on stage and behind the stage. The scenery that they put forth is amazing. The people that run around behind and move things and stuff do a fantastic job. I also appreciate the fact that the theater is reasonable in cost, so most of us can afford to come to Billings Studio Theater and see live productions.
What I love about BST is, and I know this is what everybody says, but it's the family. It's being able to come in somewhere and just feel totally welcomed from the second that I came to BST. And knowing that, whatever show that I do next, I know that show is going to be its own little family. And the community. This season we have gotten to do the afterglows again, which I think is so great. The afterglows are one of my favorite things that we get to do, the little party after opening night. And I just feel like it really brings the community together. The patrons get to talk to the actors, and it just really, it brings the whole BST family together as one. And I just think that is one of the greatest gifts that BST has to offer.
I enjoy these things. We love it when we come here. We just don't miss them. We got year passes, and like I say, I was introduced to it by Vicki 14 years ago in some odd months, and we look forward to it every new play that comes in. They're great.
The first time I actually came was through Mildred Oliver. Her name was Mac, and I worked for a lot of ladies around town that used to volunteer here, and if they couldn't go to a show, they would give me their tickets, and that's how I first became coming. And then I just liked it. I did some drama in school, high school, and it was fun, and I always thought I'd like to do it, but I'm too chicken now. But I like the shows, and they do a lot of effort putting on these shows, and we like the afterglow so we can get to visit with the people, and it's just a fun time, and it gets us out of the house, and we enjoy coming.
Yeah.
We'll continue to do so as long as we can.
And we sure enjoy Jim and
AJ and all of you.
All of them. They're all been really nice people, and we're happy to get to know them.
I love BST for the people, the relationships. It's kind of a second family. Either seems like I'm involved in a show, or my kids are. I have one daughter who works backstage, and it's fun to watch those relationships with my kids. They are so accepted. They've got a group of friends who are from 70 years old to 10 through the theater, and we just love how accepting we are and how much fun and laughter we have here.
It's been my entire adult life has been at BST. I was working here even before I met my husband, and so it's been a long time that I've been involved with BST. It's I know everyone says it all the time, it becomes a family, you're part of a family, but even working here, especially having Nancy was like having a second mom. And you can just always, there's people here to listen. Whenever you have anything going on in your life, it's somewhere you can go when you're having hard times, or even the happy times. People want to share them with you, and they're excited for you and happy for you, and it's just such a good community to be a part of.
I love BST because of the memories that I hold. All of the people that have come and those that aren't with us still, but just the sense of family and the different personalities. I love when the audience leaves after a show saying, "Great job, what a good show." That's probably what I love most, is that we can bring joy to people, not just on stage with the actors and backstage with our volunteers, but also our patrons, and that's what I love about it.
Oh, what do I love about BST? Well, I think I've said that numerous times. We've literally grown up here, so this is a second home to me and Miranda. And I can share the love of theater with my children. I think that is exciting, that as myself personally sharing that love of theater with my boys. I really, when I was growing up, what I wanted to be when I grew up was Nancy. And it's amazing to actually do your childhood dream as working at the theater. As silly as that sounds, this is what I wanted to do when I grew up, and it's what I'm doing, and I don't know how many people can say that. So for that, I am forever grateful.
What I love about BST is I do love the basement. I love being where the sun doesn't shine and taking care of all the stuff that nobody notices, and the costumes. And I think it's really cool that my life's come full circle, and I get to work here with my mom, where I used to love her. And it's really cool, and I'm really lucky to be able to be here all the time. And the people are great too. But I really like just being behind the scenes and nobody knowing who I am and what I look like. But just making it beautiful and working hard to take care of it.
And you do a really good job.
Thank you.
You do a really good job. I'm gonna get all emotional.
And I want to add that I love that I get to work with these two, and that they have found the love for the theater. When I brought them here when they were just tiny, and the women that they've grown into, and that they both have different personalities, where Kayla loves to be, in front of people and talking to people, and Miranda likes to be in the basement. But I love that they love the theater as well.
I love BST because it is a theater, it is a home. I think theater is one of the most important, if not the most important arts there that exist. It's one of the few interactive arts. The audience comes and enjoys, or hates sometimes, but mostly comes to enjoy. And it is the energy that goes back and forth between the patrons, the audience, I think, that makes theater just the best.
We love BST, both my husband and I. It's like our home away from home. We've been involved all these years, and every year it seems to be more fun. It's great meeting all the people that walk through the doors at BST. It's so fun to see the ones you see over and over and over, and then a brand new person will walk in the door, and they really have no idea what it's like to be in a show. And so it's fun to see that happen and to help them out if we can. And once again, home away from home, BST. I love it, and I love all the people here.
BST is known as a community theater, but I really think of it as a theater community. I love that we have so many people that have such a love and passion for the theater. All of our volunteers, our actors, directors, musicians, we all just love the theater and everything that it does for the community.
I love BST because it's such an integral part of the arts community. It has offered me, and it's offered my husband, it offers so many people the opportunity to be a part of a play, of a musical, to sit back and appreciate the efforts of all kinds of people. I see BST through the eyes of a patron now. I enjoy sitting in the audience. I love that the theater involves so many people in Billings. There's so many volunteer opportunities. There are people who can play music in the pit orchestras. There are people who volunteer to serve in so many capacities, and the theater offers that to so many people. And it's offered that to me through 55 years of being a part of this theater. It's a part of Billings community that I've always loved.